What's going on, everybody? I hope you're having a good Christmas holiday season, all the holidays, all the goodness. I'm working on my book and I have an excerpt from it. Um, it's my Christmas story from December 24th, 2003, while I was in Iraq. So, that's Garfield. And this is my story. 24 December 2003, Christmas Eve, Iron Grip. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. 0630, my eyes open after being shaken awake by my bunkmate, Jason Spradlin. "Dempsey, let's go, fuckstick. It's time for PT," Jason yelled matter-of-factly in his thick Virginian drawl. "PT on Christmas Eve?" I asked, partly to myself as I sat up, wiping the sleep from my eyes. I climbed down from the top bunk and sat on Spradlin's bunk to put on my running shoes. "Hell yeah, brother, you damn right we have PT. Ain't you glad you joined the army?" he asked as he walked into our room, catching me sitting on his bed. "Hey, I told you to quit sitting on my bed. Can't you buy a chair or something?" Jason asked, slightly annoyed. "Yes, sir. Specialist General, sir." I mocked him with my best Gomer Pyle salute. Before following him out, I walked over to Thompson's rack to see if he was awake. I yelled in my best Arnold Schwarzenegger, "Hey, California kid, we're on army time. It's not surfer boy time. It's time for PT. Ah!" As I walked out the door to the pool house we lived in, I could hear Thompson yell, "PT on Christmas Eve? You gotta be fucking kidding me," as a door closed behind me. "The green weenie strikes again," I thought to myself while smiling. As the old adage goes, the American people will know when we are truly screwed. All the privates in the United States Army quit bitching. Until then, you're safe. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in her kerchief, and I in my cap, had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap. The platoon formed up and went for a run, much to everyone's extreme displeasure. Push-ups and flutter kicks all day, but running for me has always been a chore. In the Army, bitching and complaining about one's task while completing said task is just standard operating procedures. To make matters worse, Sergeant Will was calling cadence. Sergeant Will calling cadence was like every black comedian's jokes about white people dancing came to life and tried to motivate a group of grizzled children to go run miles on Christmas Eve morning around Bandit Island. Wait, you really don't believe me? You don't believe that this was like horrible? A terrible cadence? Here is the cadence. A is for Army. Army, Army, Army. R is for Army. Army, Army, Army. M is for Army. Army, Army, Army. Y is for Army. Army, Army, Army. See? I told you it was bad. We bitched and moaned the entire way, so all must be okay. After the run, the platoon was released for personal hygiene and chow, or like the Queen of England says, shit, shower, and shave. Specialist Moorhead, my truck commander and frontline supervisor, called out to Thompson and I as we were turning to make ourselves scarce. "Hey, 120, he exclaimed loudly. "Where the fuck are you two retards going?" Thompson and I must have both had the, "oh fuck, they found the dead hooker" look on our face, because Moteam smiled and softened his tone. "Come on, you're not in trouble." Thompson walked over as slow as he could to let us know Moteam was cutting into his M240 gunner's skin care routine, while I walked with a purpose, crisply standing at the position of parade rest. I probably looked like PV2 America. You know Private 2 America, don't you? It's Captain America's younger, dumber cousin. Moorhead waved a dismissive figure at my proper display of military customs and courtesies. "Relax, Chief. I just have to give you both the guidance the platoon sergeant just gave me." Moorhead waited for Thompson to finally arrive next to me. If he was annoyed by Thompson, Moorhead refused to show it. Moorhead knew how to get under that boy's skin. "Dempsey and Thompson, Fuckstick Alpha and Bravo. Merry Christmas Eve. Make sure when you're done with chow, you get over to the MWR, send an email, make a call home. We don't have anything going on this moment." Moteam paused for a second before asking, "Any questions, comments, concerns, bitching, gripes, or complaints?" "Yes, Specialist," I exclaimed excitedly with a hand in the air. "Put your hand down, stupid. What is it?" Moorhead asked with a grin. "What did Sergeant McDaniels want?" I asked him, while sheepishly lowering my arm. "Oh yeah, thank you, Turbo," Moorhead explained. "Sergeant McDaniels wants us to name our truck with an S word related to scouts that isn't Saber or a scout," he continued. "Go think about it and we will decide tomorrow before I go home on mid-tour leave." Moorhead thought a moment, then said, "Just make sure when you go to the MWR you take your walkie-talkie in case the old man wants to go spread Christmas cheer to our Muslim brothers." Moorhead turned to walk away, saying over his shoulder, "Dismissed." Both Thompson and I replied with our both mentally challenged, "Whoa?" You have to understand that the only time you say "whoa" unironically is right after a level 10 battle pep talk. Other than that, you have to say it like you're on the spectrum or risk being stabbed in the sleep by your peers. As it is, every work-related conversation in the Army already ends in "whoa," and so it's never uttered seriously. The MWR is the Morale, Welfare, Recreation, abbreviated MWR, and it's a network of support and leisure services designed for use by U.S. service members, active reserve, and guard, their families, military retirees, veterans with 100% service-connected disability, current and retired DoD civilian employees, and other eligible participants. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window, I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters, and I threw up the sash. The internet on Bandit Island was notoriously slow, often taking up to 30 minutes to open an email. After finishing up the morning shave and pouring Gold Bond medicated powder down my pants, I was walking with a purpose across the fob from the chow hall, through the scout motor pool, to the soccer field. Most of the time, you only had the bandwidth to send an email when all the computers were filled with fobbits. Feeling hopeful I'd be one of the first, I picked up the pace across the soccer field, helicopter landing field, past the phones, barbershop, and random jewelry store, before making it across the little bridge to our flying saucer looking internet cafe and restaurant. Inside and to the right, up a flight of stairs, were 2 rows in a skinny U shape of old, for 2003, computers. Every single computer except 2 were occupied by the Pogues. There goes my bandwidth. But, grateful for an open computer, I wasted no time logging into my Army email, my Yahoo email, as well as my America Online Instant Messenger. Nothing from the Army or AIM, however. Yahoo had several emails, and so I clicked on an email from my dad with the subject, Merry Christmas. While waiting for the lifetime it was gonna take for the email to open, I spun my seat around to watch Fox News report on the giant projection screen across the open balcony. Geraldo Rivera was on the big screen with his big fucking head. When he said the words 1st Armored Division, he had my complete attention. The 1st Armored Division will be celebrating Christmas Eve by conducting a division-wide raid across Baghdad tonight, going door to door in the largest coalition operation to date, Operation Iron Force. Looking into the camera earnestly, he said, "This is Geraldo Rivera reporting for Fox News. Back to you." I looked around to see if anyone else had just heard what I did. No one really seemed fazed. My jaw was on the floor. Did Geraldo Rivera just give me my first operation and op order? Garfield's messing me up here. You're killing me, kid. Technical difficulties. My cat's on the mouse. Is that a dad joke or real life? Okay, so okay, and so I looked around to see if anyone else had just heard what I did. No one seemed fazed. My jaw was on the floor. Did Geraldo Rivera just brief me on a mission before my chain of command? Did he just give the bad guys with bombs a 12-hour head start? Still drawing maps in the sand, Mr. Rivera? What a scumbag. I turned back to a computer to see it was still trying to load my father's email, so I hit stop, composed a really quick Merry Christmas message, hit send, and then logged off. So, I have a couple footnotes. To move with a purpose basically means to walk quickly, efficiently, and without running. Means to walk quickly, efficiently, without running, as a situation may be too dangerous for running You know, like when carrying a loaded carbine. Um, it says, add a footnote for fobbits. A fobbit, though, is also a pogue, and a pogue stands for person other than grunt, referring to literally anyone who is not boots on the ground soldier. What is this? The term grunt refers to those typically in the infantry. If you served in the infantry, you are the sharp point of the spear and the first one through the door during combat. I suppose if I was being honest in my email home, it would have read, getting ready to drive into an ambush and get blown the fuck up. Merry Christmas. But why ruin my family's Christmas? Yet, if some dick had to be first, then fucking follow me, because to this day, I don't believe a better Humvee gun truck driver has ever existed. And thank God I'm dumb enough to believe it too. Or why else would I play Russian roulette every single day? Russian roulette, Operation Iraqi Freedom Edition. Every time I rolled out the gate. King the mic on my two-way. Saber Zero Actual, this is Saber Zero Delta, over. Moorhead replied, Zero Delta, this is Zero Actual, go ahead Dempsey. Zero Actual, this is Saber Zero Delta, I just received a warning and op order from Geraldo Rivera. I'll be back in 5 mics to explain, over, I replied. Dempsey, quit screwing around on the radio and get back here. Out, Moorhead said, breaking radio protocol, clearly thinking I was fucking around. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave a luster of midday to objects below, when what to my wandering eyes did appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. I stood up and slung my rifle over my back, headed out back to the Scout CP. As I passed the Haji store, I noticed they were selling wicker love seats. Time to get Spradlin off my back. Haji wanted 20, but I dicketed his ass down to 10. And then, as I put the wicker love seat over my head to carry it, and that must have been a sight, the unmistakable sounds of a Black Hawk helicopter approaching the fog got my attention. There were actually 3 Black Hawk helicopters, and I breathed a sigh of relief once I noticed there was no Red Cross and so seemingly not a medevac flight. The choppers approached and circled fast, landed quickly, and where out popped 8 high-speed, non-uniform security, quickly forming around the soldier in the middle helicopter. They began walking towards the Scout CP, the opposite direction. Hey, Garth, you're killing me. Come on, buddy. Okay. They began walking towards the Scout CP, the opposite direction of the Battalion CP. As I rounded the corner into our motor pool carrying a wicker love seat on my head, I caught the attention of one of the security guards standing in between our trucks, holding an MP5 at the ready. Took one look at me and laughed while I smiled sheepishly. Who the fuck is that? I whispered to Mr. High Speed Turbo, 6-figure salary, private security guy. He laughed again and replied, Nah, no one. That's CENTCOM Commander 4-Star General Abazad. I let out a whistle that sounded like a bomb dropping from the sky, while looking towards a platoon radio watch truck to see the 10 or so guys in various states of being in proper uniform, all quickly coming to the same realization: there is no fucking way that the highest ranking officer in Iraq is right here in front of us. Oh no, it's him. What do we do? Have you ever seen a group of 10 men not know whether to salute, bow, curtsy, and then all pop smoke, tactically retreat to Porta Johns like it was rehearsed? I have, and it's freaking funny. Security guard got my attention and said, "Here, Merry Christmas." Flipped a coin towards me. I caught it and inspected it. It was the CENTCOM Commander's challenge coin. It's one of the highest coins you could collect besides the Joint Chiefs of Staff or the Commander-in-Chief. Quickly, it was ascertained by the CENTCOM commander that he was indeed lost, like any good officer, and needed to be directed to the Battalion Tactical Operations Center, TOC. Just as quickly as he was there, he was gone. After placing the new wicker love seat inside of our room, I went to find Specialist Moorhead and brief him on this Christmas Eve suicide mission extravaganza. Moorhead let out a whistle that sounded like a bomb dropping. "Okay, Dempsey, go get Pogie bait, pick up a carton of cigarettes, a case of Wild Tigers, plenty of water," and added, "Make sure the truck is good to go." "Roger that," I replied before turning to go right back out the door. Under my breath, I muttered, "Oh, please, you know my truck has been done squared away." Obviously, Moorhead only heard me say, "Roger that." With a little old driver, so lively and quick, I knew in a moment he must be Saint Nick. More rapid than eagles, his courses they came, and he whistled, and he shouted, and he called them by name. It was a little after 1400 before Sergeant McDaniels, our platoon sergeant, called formation to hand out assignments for the evening's mission, Operation Iron Grip. Most of the scouts would be taking part in the door-to-door house clearing, while the command sergeant major and battalion commander's personal security detail would be stuck escorting both of them around all evening. 19:30 hours, the personal security detail for Command Sergeant Major Schindler met at the TOC. Met at the TOC. Our detail consisted of my truck, Sabre Zero, the Command Sergeant Major's truck, Bandit 7, and Sergeant Priet's truck, Bandit 7 Golf, in the rear. As we waited by the trucks, all zipped up in our polypropylene cold weather gear and Gore-Tex jacket tops, smoking and joking, I asked, "So, everyone agrees this is a trap, correct?" I went on. "They had a 12-hour head start. It's not like the bad guys don't have television." PFC Moore, Sergeant Priet's M240 Bravo gunner, usually quiet, said, "Man, fuck Geraldo Rivera. I'll beat his ass if I get a hold of him." Everyone agreed with this sentiment. "Sounds about right. U.S. Army, check. Christmas Eve, getting fucked over by the big green weenie, check." Sergeant Priet chimed in while ripping down a Marlboro Red. "Oh, this is definitely Pooh Pampy," Moorhead agreed. So I brought some Christmas spirit for everyone. Moteam handed out candy canes to everyone. We all moaned and rolled our eyes. Just then, Sergeant Major walked out from the talk, and Sergeant Priet called out, "At ease!" immediately locking us in the position of parade rest. Okay, gentlemen, Merry Christmas Eve. We expect to have the element of surprise tonight. The entire 1st Armored Division is going to go door to door, finding every terrorist bomb maker in town. Whoa! Sergeant Major paused, waiting for a return. Whoa! Before he continued. Let's go stage at the gate. We leave at 20:30. His voice sounded like a giant white Steve Urkel with a German accent. We all grumbled our way into our trucks, and the order was given over the radio to move out to the staging and fueling area next to the main gate. Right on cue, Thompson pokes his head down the gunner hatch. Why the fuck did they get me out of bed to go wait an hour at the gate? I started drinking Red Bull an hour, and now I'm fucking spun. Garfield, he keeps turning the page for me. Oh, thanks. Yeah. That's good. Thanks, buddy. Okay, everybody, excuse me. I will figure this out. Beep. I think we might have overdone it with the no-dos and wild tigers, I agreed and added. Tactical error. Lesson learned, boys. Moorhead leaning his head back against the window in his typical calm, cool, collected posture. Kevlar chin strap around his nose. Radio handset MacGyvered in place to the side of his face. When he says, I don't know what the fuck you fools are tripping about. You gotta get your sleep where you can take it. Moteam closed his eyes and added, wake me when it's time to roll. Look at this motherfucker sleeping, I thought to myself incredulously. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner, on Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away, all. On Sabre 120, not only do we have a cooler filled to the brim with refreshments, but we also had a kick-ass portable CD playing boombox. I opened the CD tray and removed the Dazed and Confused soundtrack, replacing it with Nas's Nostradamus, Shoot 'em Up. As soon as the beat dropped, Thompson kicked my arm to get my attention. Turn this shit up, he said to me while lighting up a cigarette. $144, $245s, 3 loaded clips, 4 jiggers roll, 1 jigger drives, 500 bends, 6 reasons why this kid should die. We shooting every motherfucker outside. Pulled on his block, jumped out the car, guns in our hand. At the same time, everybody ran. There that jigger go, hiding in the crowd. Let the trigger blow. 7 shots, now we lying on the ground. Blood on the floor, then we shot some more. Jiggers he was with, 2 jiggers hit, 1 jigger fell. 1 tried to run, go get him, son. Make sure he's done before we bail. I ain't trying to go to jail. Must handle beef, code of the street, load up the heat. These jiggers think they could fuck around. Real jiggers do real things, by all means. Jiggers knowing how we get down. It goes Shoot 'em up, just shoot 'em up. What? Just as the chorus kicked in, the passenger side back door opened. Thompson kicked my arm and quickly I turned the volume down, smacking Moorhead in his IBA. Good evening, gentlemen. Sergeant Major said I should ride with you, the battalion chaplain said with a sheepish smile. Oh no, I thought, and said, yes, sir. Immediately turned the music up, looking up towards Thompson, who rolled his eyes at me, making the jerking hand sign. Look, I know what some of you are thinking. Dude, what's your problem? You've got a guardian angel looking after you. Well, first of all, no one asked you. But if you need a better explanation, fine. Everything in the military runs on routine and superstition. You don't eat the charms candy out of an MRE, and you don't roll out the gate with the chaplain. Last minute changes are always a bad omen. If you must know, I was probably more worried about dying and being the one who got the battalion's man of God killed. The song had changed to some Eminem song, and immediately the chaplain said to us, hey, you need to turn that music off, soldier. There is way too much cursing. Hey, you need to turn the music off. There is way too much cursing. Quickly, I turned to Moorhead with a, where do we dump the body look? Moorhead, reading my mind, shrugged his shoulders as to say, that sounds like a logistical nightmare. No fucking cursing. Huh? No fucking cursing? Turn down the music? So help me God. I thought and said, yes, sir. Turning the radio off and getting out of the truck while pulling out a cigarette, asking Thompson for a light. Thompson pointed down towards the chaplain, made the throat slash gesture before putting his arms up on the, I don't know where we're gonna put the body. And just then, the order came down the convoy to mount up. Days before, on December 14th, I had written a prayer for rolling out the gate. And in the truck, we all bowed our heads as I prayed, oh Lord, keep me safe as I go outside this gate. I've seen some men who've died, and I do not want their fate. I do not wish to kill a man, but help my aim stay true, because I know that as I'm praying, my enemy is praying too. And if I fall on foreign ground, please let my mother know that if I awakened yesterday out the gate, I still would go. Lock and load, let's roll out, Moorhead ordered as the sound of 3 well-oiled M4 carbines chambering around into battery at the same time echoed through the truck. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As the leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky. This cat is absolutely bananas. Don't die. The gate lifted. We took a right, 300 meters to the roundabout. Then we take the second left to the highway that takes us towards Martyrs Monument. Heading south, right over the bridge where Sergeant Hazlett was destroyed, always driving past that hole in the ground where the IED detonated. Was always sobering. Driving in a convoy like this at night, no lights, relying on your ATN PBS 7 MVGs, kind of sucks. Night vision goggles have zero depth perception, and I feel depth perception while driving is kind of important. But we were rolling deep tonight. Only had to see as far as the next truck in front. Task Force 137, when we got close to Brigade Headquarters, Martyrs Monument, the Sergeant Major's voice came over the radio and said, Saber Zero, this is Bandit 7, over. Bandit 7, this is Saber Zero, go ahead, Sergeant Major, over, came Moorhead's reply. My hand expertly turning down the system before I could be asked. I winked at Moorhead. Saber Zero, Bandit 7, break, the Sergeant Major said, pausing mid-transmission. Fuck, exclaimed Moorhead. That motherfucker knows I'm going home on leave tomorrow. Why the hell can't he stay with the convoy? Matt said, flustered. Command Sergeant Major Schindler had a habit of being a cowboy, looking for trouble, often breaking from watching whatever line company was out on patrol. See, the old man is the highest ranking enlisted man in the battalion, and so he was obligated not to take unnecessary risks. Can't have him getting blown up, which is why my truck, Saber 120, was the lead truck in his personal security detail, because the lead truck always gets hit first in order to create a kill zone. We aren't talking about 3 scout gun trucks. Sergeant Major's truck didn't even have a gun turret, and while I trusted Sergeant Priya in the rear, I'd have trusted that crew a whole lot more had they been in a tank where they belong. When I say trouble, I'm talking Sodor City, away from the area of operations, down some real sketchy roads and neighborhoods that were strictly for the purpose of drawing enemy fire, so that he could write himself a medal. Stupid. Yeah, Roger, Saber Zero. Let's head downtown and see what Brigade is up to tonight, the Sergeant Major ordered. Fucking Merry Christmas, old man, yelled Moorhead at the handset without keying the mic. Moorhead keyed the mic. Bandit 7, Saber Zero, Roger. That's Agent. Roger that, Sergeant Major. Where to? Over. Saber Zero, Bandit 7. Adamaya, a Sunni neighborhood, an insurgent stronghold. Pull over here. The chaplain's gonna ride in with Charlie Company. Grid follows. Break, said the Sergeant Major, giving us the grid. Moorhead regained his composure. Hey, at least it was some good news. Bandit 7, Saber Zero, Wilco, Saber Zero out. Turning towards the window, perhaps a little bummed and not wanting to show it, and ordered, Dempsey, pull off to the right. Roger that, Mo team, I replied, quickly pulling over to complete the exchange with the chaplain. He didn't even say goodbye as he leapt and closed the door. Look on the bright side, I said while driving away. At least now we can die in peace with the radio on, am I right? So, up to the house, topped the courses they flew, with the sleigh full of toys and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. Turning down of the highway near the University of Baghdad across the Sarafia Bridge into a surprisingly upscale neighborhood that was all lit up bright yellow by the military light carts, each throwing off 200,000 plus lumens. Driving through a cordon of concertina wire set up as a checkpoint, the 1st Armored Division had set up concertina wire around square miles of Baghdad. M1 Abrams main battle tanks littered the long, narrow streets, abuzz with multiple entry teams going door to door while Iraqi families stood outside. Being a driver means you are always with the truck, helping the gunner maintain security of the vehicles. Occasionally, the Sergeant Major would dismount, and when he did, Specialist Moorhead, Sergeant Priet, and PFC Hammond, the medic, would all get out and form a perimeter around the Sergeant Major. That night was only just beginning, and it was going to be boring. Slowly, we would begin to make progress as the personal security detail would return back to the trucks and drive a few meters down the road. Stop and repeat. Shortly after the first move, we heard a huge explosion. We like to play a fun game, guessing the distance of the explosion and the type of rounds in the explosion, such as an artillery round or a mortar round, rockets, and anything in between. It sounded bad, but I didn't hear anything at all on the radio. Maybe 10 minutes later, we heard a different explosion, much closer. This time, the radio lit up. "This is Bandit 6. All persons monitoring the net. I want a sit rep now. Over," ordered our battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel Gary Bishop. "Uh-oh, Dark Helmet's pissed," I said to Thompson. We called him Dark Helmet from Spaceballs because he was a tiny man with a big helmet always shouting for ludicrous speed. "Yup," Thompson said with a smirk. "This is Bandit 6. If I don't get a fucking sit rep in the next 5 minutes, I promise someone's getting court-martialed." Bandit 6 screamed into the net, obviously pissed by the lack of a response. Someone keyed the mic and explained that a section of bumbling idiot military police, who, having never breached a door before, used enough plastic explosives to blow a bank vault. The problem was they used it on a mud brick Haji house, most likely a regular, solid core front door at best. Probably just particle board, to be honest. They got chewed out over the radio for all to hear. It was glorious. At least we got a good laugh. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney, St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys was flung on his back. Around 2200 hours, our convoy pulled up and stopped in front of a particularly nice part of the neighborhood. An Iraqi man stood at the curb with his arms crossed around, perhaps in defiance, having no alternative other than to have his home ransacked and torn apart. Doing nothing else, I got out of the truck and I approached the man. I told him Allah Akbar and something else. I forget now. And placed my heart across my chest. I had a 20-minute conversation with the man. Very well put together man, perhaps in his 40s. Looking stoic, calm, and unfazed. fix that right now. The man completely changed my outlook on Muslims. He explained to me the nuances between Sunni and Shia Muslims. He spoke perfect English, being an American educated doctor. The man explains that Jesus Christ was venerated in the Quran as well. As well as his mother, the Virgin Mary. He told me Muslims considered Christ a prophet and a great man, stopping only before calling Jesus God. The man had a beautiful 7-year-old daughter who came out to be next to her dad as the team entered her home. She was beautiful, her long black hair uncovered, beautiful brown eyes. But with all of the soldiers' guns and all the tanks, I could see the fear in her eyes, and it broke me. I asked her father if I could give a gift to his little girl, after explaining to him that although he and his family obviously don't celebrate Christmas, it's still Christmas for me, and I would very much like to give his daughter a gift. All I had in my wallet was a chain half of a heart gold chain. I had him explain to his daughter that attached to the other half of the heart was a friend in America for life. The little girl's eyes lit up so bright, and she was so grateful that she quickly ran into the house, most likely to show her mom. For another 5 or so minutes, the father and I continued to converse. I offered every apology about having to go to these links to find weapon caches and bad guys, and the man was very understanding. His daughter came back out of the house with something behind her back, fully approaching her father from behind, pulling on his pant leg. Her father turned and looked and asked a question in Farsi, and the girl explained. Gently, he pushed her towards me. In her outstretched hands, she held a purple rose. A purple rose in Iraq. To this day, I've never seen a more beautiful flower in my life. At the time, I had never known roses could come in any color. And I certainly had never seen a single flower in the months I had been in Iraq. I asked her father if I could give her a high five with my gloves on, knowing that Muslim women should not touch men. He agreed with a smile, and I fought back tears as I told her to be brave and assured her that I was doing everything I could to make sure she had a brighter future. The best gifts are always the most unexpected. And he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard of his chin was as white as the snow. The night passed on. Finally, just at midnight, the candy canes that Moorhead brought were handed out. We all said Merry Christmas, shaking each other's hands, and for a few moments, quiet reflection created devastating silence. The rose was sitting on the dashboard of the truck. too afraid to touch or damage a thing of such absolute beauty, gently lifting to my nose the rose I deeply inhaled, holding that breath a long pause before the radio went off, causing three of us to jump. Moorhead was called out to the sergeant major's truck alone. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it circled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was a chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf. When Moorhead got back into the truck, he returned to Thompson and myself arguing. What the fuck are you two fighting about now? Matt questions us. The name of the truck. I think. I was cut off mid-sentence. Seabiscuit, Matt said matter-of-factly. The truck's name is Seabiscuit. And I laughed when I saw him, in spite of myself. A wink of his eye, a twist of his head, soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, laying his finger aside of his nose and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. Order to head back to base was given sometime after 03:30 hours, and I struggled not to fall asleep while driving. Moorhead turned to me and asked, "Hey Dempsey, you remember the first explosion we heard?" Moorhead's voice trailed off and then said, "That was Sergeant Major's best friend, our brigade command Sergeant Major, Cook." "Oh, fuck. Did he make it? Is he alive?" I asked. Moorhead looked at me, shook his head, only saying one word. "Negative." He sprung to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night." From the Stars and Stripes. Command Sergeant Major Cook, mourned by unit who saw him as a father, by Ward Sanderson. January 18th, 2004. Merry Christmas. Baghdad, holiday or no, in at least one way, it began like every other day inside Martyrs Monument. Command Sergeant Major Eric Cook stood in the breezeway overlooking a cluster of offices. He sipped his coffee and he thought. Cook had much to think about that Christmas morning. He and his soldiers of the 1st Brigade, 1st Armored Division would roll out that night as part of Operation Iron Grip. The thunderous campaign at one point included raids, artillery assaults, and a show of air power. The idea was to capture or kill guerrillas shooting, firing rockets, and most of all, trying to blow up soldiers and foreigners. During the following evening and next morning, insurgents would send mortars and rockets screeching across Baghdad. Hotels, embassies, the U.S.-run compound downtown. It didn't matter. The guerrillas would target anything with a Westerner inside. Cook prepared for his part in fighting this by thinking underground beneath a Titan-sized sculpture in the shape of two tiers. Normally in Friedberg, Germany, his brigade was now headquartered at a monument for Iraqis who died in the war with Iran. Cook's job was an important one. He was the brigade's highest ranking enlisted soldier. He led troops on raids and patrols, in the process dodging at least 3 roadside bombs. He visited remote posts to make sure troops were okay, even though he could have driven a desk. He counseled troops, but wouldn't suffer snot-bubbling bullshit. He made sure soldiers got their medals, and he lobbied when they needed new ping-pong tables. Cook was an enlisted man just like his soldiers, but with chevron upon chevron upon chevron of command clout. From brass to gold, the day was full of planning for the operation and also planning for holidays away from home. Staff Sergeant Anthony Benson and crew got the mess hall ready. The chaplain, Major Dean Bonarua, marched a group of troops through the marbled halls singing carols. But evening and showtime approached. Cook visited St. Jack Stevens in the Tactical Operations Center. "Be safe," he told Stevens. Cook was the one rolling out into the night. He stopped by Sergeant Levita Staples and personnel. There he picked up 25 embossed command coins. He'd need them to reward any soldiers who excelled during the op. A coin from Cook was like $1 from Dad after a Little League home run. Soldiers said he never gave one on a whim. It was a specific purpose. That alchemy turned the coins from brass to gold. At 8, Cook climbed into his Humvee beside Specialist David Marklein, his driver for the mission. "With any luck, we'll get some bad guys," Marklein told him. "That's all I want for Christmas," Cook replied. They were 7th in the convoy. Together, they rattled outside the wire and into the wide world, all trash-strewn, honking, and perilous. Marklein thought of it as the worst big city ever on steroids. Within maybe 20 minutes, they were in Atamaya, a Sunni neighborhood and insurgent stronghold. Big orange ball. He was scanning right. I was scanning left, Marklein said, trying to smell a rat. This time there was no rodent reek, at least not any more than usual. Soldiers learn to feel the tension, the electricity that fires them into healthy fear when all isn't right. But that evening, no one felt it. We were just rolling along, man, and it was all good, Marklein remembered. The Humvees rolled past a market and just began to enter a neighborhood. Then Marklein saw a big orange ball and heard a distant boom, like a firecracker at the end of a long tunnel. But the explosion wasn't far away. It was right here. The blast was so bright, Marklein didn't perceive brightness, just color. The sound so loud, he hardly heard it. The driver blanked out. Then, head back up, he took in the damage. Tires flat, steering, zero, gas, gone. Then Marklein realized incredibly he was fine. Someone had detonated an artillery round maybe 3 meters from the Humvee. It was shredded with shrapnel, yet Marklein was in one piece. He called out to Cook, happy they made it. Sergeant Major was silent. No movement. The Humvees in front advanced out of the blast area. Then the troops got out and came running back. Benora, the chaplain, knew inside that Cook was all right. Sergeant Major always was. Bonnaroo helped load Cook into the ambulance. I held his hand, the chaplain said, but there was no movement. Nothing. They talked to him in case he could hear. Sometimes, Benora said, they can. Back at the base, soldiers were starting to party. Karaoke, R&B Christmas Eve. Bells dangled from the ceiling. The tree sparkled in the corner. Then the rumors started. Sergeant Major was dead. Stevens left the talk and told troops in the mess hall no one knew, cut the gossip. But by 10:30 p.m., Stevens and the other soldiers in the talk knew. Cook died before he arrived at the hospital. And that, my friends, is my excerpt from my book, Halfway Down the Trail to Hell, which might come out soon, like maybe this year, maybe, I don't know. But I hope you like it, and I can't wait to hear what everyone thinks about it. And I just hope that everyone is safe, happy, warm, belly filled, and yeah. I love you all. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Take care until we meet again. Peace.